This program is brought to you by Emory University.
Well, Dr. Tamasi, I really want to thank you for coming and talking to us about choosing a major. I know a lot of students are concerned right now that they have to start thinking about what they want to do academically in the next few years and what major to choose and what minor possibly to choose. So what advice do you have for students who are really kind of nervous right now about that?
Well, the advice that I have is to play around and try different things and try different courses, see what interests you, and most importantly, see where all those things intersect. Try a bunch of different types of classes and say, I like this about this and this about this, and see where they come together. For me, I went into college originally, I was going to be a Russian major, and I was a Russian major, and I studied Russian, and I studied Soviet studies, and as I was going through my classes, I made sure to take classes in my major, classes in my minor, gen ed requirements, and then I always took something just to take it, for the heck of it, to try. And it was through my major that I actually came across linguistics and was introduced to that and thought, you know, I really like that idea. What else can I do with it? And so I started looking around for other classes that had similar types of topics that were looking at language. There wasn't a linguistics major here at that time. Started piecing things together, and I took a sociology class and an anthropology class, and I realized not only did I really like looking at language and culture and society, but the fact that it was so highly interdisciplinary that I could look at it from multiple perspectives. I like the sociology part of it, and I like the anthropology part of it, and I like language and culture. And so that's where I started looking through. And as that aspect opened me up to linguistics as a whole, I started realizing that there were other areas of linguistics that I could look into as well. I liked psychology, so I decided to see what you could do with psychology, and you can study language and the mind, and the whole area of cognitive linguistics opened up. I took a computer science course and realized that you can do computational linguistics and do this interaction there. I looked at my health class and saw how people started talking about health and communicating about health. My speech science class was all about the physics of language. So I was able to see how these things all fit together, realize where my passion was, and kind of work that into a field of study that opened me up, particularly for a variety of areas of careers in the future. It wasn't that I went in and thought, this is the career I have to do, I have to work with this, and nothing else matters. I wanted very specifically to try a bunch of different things and see where they took me.
So someone who has a particular interest could potentially choose from lots of different majors. It wouldn't necessarily have to be one major is for someone who has a particular interest.
Absolutely. We're not, you come in and get a broader education, and you focus on a couple of your major and your minor are areas that you just want to know in more depth, and you can apply those to different areas. It's there isn't one direct route of I want to be a lawyer, therefore I have to do international studies. I want to be a doctor, therefore I have to be a biology major. And in fact, it's really helpful in some instances in trying to apply for a career at graduate school to have something different, and having an education that's more well-rounded and being able to find stuff that really interests you and see how it works. I mean, just because I advise in linguistics, we have people that pair linguistics with lots of other professions, but other majors. Recently, we've had people that are biology and linguistics, math and linguistics, creative writing and linguistics, and then we actually have a joint major with psychology. So you can pair all these things together. And they can just, it may not be that they work so closely together that that's where your career comes from, but it can be that these are just things that you want to know more in depth and are really interested in and are a huge part of who you are.
So even within a major, for instance, students could potentially have some flexibility within that major to tailor it to their specific interests and needs. Absolutely,
absolutely, and looking to see what areas, because you get the breadth and the depth, you can figure out what areas you specifically like and work with them.
So students shouldn't just look at the requirements for a major, they should also talk to someone within that department to figure out, in addition to the requirements, what can they do.
And look at the range of courses that they offer, not just the requirements, but what they have, where cross-listings are. If they're cross-listings, allow classes to take you down a path. And as you said, talk to somebody. Talk to advisors, talk to teachers, talk to other students in the major or minor, and see where they've been going with it as well.
How important do you think it is for someone to have a double major if they want to be competitive in a graduate program or in a career? Do people have to have two majors, or?
Not at all. You do not have to have two majors. It's a lot of people at Emory do have two majors or a major and a minor and pair them together, oftentimes with just what their interests are. And because we're here because we like different ideas and we're intellectually curious. So if we want to find out the depth of knowledge of a couple of things, it's going to be helpful in many ways, and it oftentimes makes you stand out. But it allows you to pursue different areas more. But I don't think it's necessary by any means. And it's definitely not necessary to major in something in order to take classes in that field. You can take 4 classes in psychology without majoring in psychology. Every class that you take does not have to apply directly to a major or a minor. You can just try things out and see. It doesn't all have to go to a particular degree. You try it and see. Take an art history class, take a classics class, take a writing class.
It also sounds like, from what you mentioned, a lot of majors are fairly interdisciplinary. So you don't necessarily have to have 2 areas of concentration, but you could have potentially courses that relate to the major without having a second major.
Absolutely.
So that's another possibility. What are some of the other things that you think are important when you're advising students when they're trying to decide what to major?
You really need to figure out what your interests are in, as opposed to, I know what this profession is and therefore I'm going to go with that.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you next semester.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.